Hey, are you wondering how to get your kids or the kids that you're in care of to do what needs to be done? After a lot of frustrating mornings, our family realized that we needed to do something different with our 3.5-year-old. And so I'm here to talk to you about how to make a behavior chart to help your kiddo. My name is Meredith Rausch. I have a PhD in counselor education and supervision. I've been teaching people how to be counselors for over a decade, and I'd love to share some of the stuff that's worked for us. It's simple. You don't need to read any books. You just need to do what works best for your family, okay? So first I started out with a really big poster board because I had an extra one, and my son's name is Sutton, and so it's called we have 3 different sections. We have a goals section, what your child needs to do. We have the Sutton's weeks. So we did it over 4 weeks. You need to do it at least 3 weeks to develop a habit. And for us, 4 weeks is enough. That's all it took. It actually didn't even take the end of the 4th week. So that was really great. And then we have the part that your kids are going to want is the prizes. And for us, we don't really do gift prizes or toy prizes so much. We want to do things that celebrate us as a family together. So they're more experiential and not so costly either. So you can do all of this for, $5 if you have some markers. I'm sure if you have children, you have some markers, okay? I am no artist, you will see that. Okay, so for us, we had goals, and my son could not read at this point, and so I drew pictures, and I said, hey, what would it look like to get out of bed? And he said, well, I'd be jumping off my bed. Okay, cool. So I drew jumping out of the bed. And so that way they can collaborate with you and figure out what would that look like? Because we don't want to stand there the whole time and say, hey, get out of bed. What should you be doing now? We want them to think, I got out of bed. What should I do now? We want them to develop that own sort of tape for themselves so that we are eliminated from that part of the process, okay? Okay, then the second is eat breakfast. So at that point, he would eat cereal, and he had this little special Pokemon cup. And so we drew the Pokemon cup and him eating some cereal, okay? And then he had to change clothes. When we made this, I had a little clock, and I thought, well, maybe he could tell time and figure out when to do that by. That didn't work. We ended up having a timer that would turn green, yellow, and red, and that seemed to work much better for us, okay? So then he had to change his clothes, and there's him changing clothes. And then he had to do his bathroom and brush his teeth. So we have a picture of a toilet, which kids love all pictures of toilets and talks of toilets, and a toothbrush. And then we have shoes and grab his lunch, and his lunchbox at the time was a Pikachu. You can see the theme of the Pokemon. So he would grab that, and then we have a shoe, and then out the door. So those were his goals. And so he would remember these pictures in order. Okay, I have to get out of bed, then I eat breakfast, then I do this, then I do this, and I'm going to remember that for myself. So if he was successful, if he completed that, we would help him, especially the first week or two. We would really help with, let's take a look at the pictures and see what you should be doing next. And then we sort of phase that out as we didn't need to. But at the end of each day, it's very important. Like week 1, Monday, I would say, ooh, you did it. I'm gonna draw a smiley face. What should the smiley face look like? And he loved making a face to show me how to make this face. So for this, it was his eyes were rolling at me, right? And he got to pick the color that I drew the face in with. So he's got his own ownership of this, and he's proud of himself. So he made it the whole first week. So if you make it the whole first week, what do you get to do? You get to choose one. You get to go to the park, or you get a family game night. He chose family game night. That's us playing little kerplunk and things, okay? So he chose that, okay? Again, it's things that we would have actually done anyway, but he didn't seem to notice that, okay? So then we got to second week. He did great. He got to pick, what did he pick? Oh, the playhouse. That was like an indoor playground that we went to maybe twice a year. Or he could have a Happy Meal, okay? So he chose the playhouse. And then we're kind of anteing up, right? So as we go, it's like, how do we not lose motivation for each week? Because he could say, oh, I don't really want to have family game night again. So we're anteing up, and we go to, this one, he could get ice cream, which we would probably do anyway, and turn on the sprinklers in our yard, or he could go see a movie. And if you notice, he didn't even choose. He had forgotten by this point, okay? And so I took him to a movie. So we were sharing in an experience that we would have actually done anyway. And then the final one's a big one. We could go to the zoo, or we could go to the Children's Museum. And again, we didn't even go because he forgot. And we did not remind him. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, it is very important that if your child is having a tough day on a Tuesday or Wednesday, let's say, or a Monday, and they don't get a smiley face, then the whole week they could just say, well, skip it all, I can't get the prize. So it could be something like you could determine ways that they could make it up. Maybe the first week they get to have 4 out of 5 smiley faces. And then after week 2, maybe it's like, well, even if you do that, then if you read with me for 5 or 10 minutes, then we can make that up. Or maybe clean your room or something like that. You can find ways that they can put in the work to have ownership, to get the prize still too, so that all is not lost. Because if all is lost, then everyone's done. Remember that you as a parent also have to be in on this. We can think, oh, this isn't gonna work. And if you think it isn't gonna work, guess what? You're not gonna put a lot of time and effort into it. I get that you're frustrated, absolutely. It's putting in the hard work for a few weeks that is much better than putting in the hard work and frustration of just arguing and fighting your children to get them to do things that they need to do, okay? So this was a big hit for us. And again, you don't need a trifold board. We just happen to have one because I'm a professor and we use those, okay? Now, we got that to work. Then those things became habit for him. One thing that's very important is that we don't want to just say, oh, great job. Now you're going to change this and then change this and then change this. That seems like too much change. So it's really important to, once you've established a good new habit, let that ride for a while, right? And keep cheerleading them on intermittently. So maybe after, this week, say, hey, this is week 5. We weren't even charting you. And look at how great you did. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. Are you proud of yourself? We want to do those things to encourage them to keep going, okay? And remember, to encourage with a 30-second great job is much easier than the frustration that comes with, come on, we have to get going. We're going to miss the bus, or we're going to be late to school, or whatever it is, okay? So just remember, those types of cheerleading things are always much better than the yelling. I promise. And we do that too. Okay. Sometimes we just get frustrated. Okay. So that one worked. So then we're like, okay, now our son is also a leisurely eater. If he wanted to, he would be the European. It took me 2 hours to eat. I had a nice coffee and sat outside. He loves that. But unfortunately, that doesn't work all the time for our schedule. Or his schedule, okay? So we developed another one. Now this one I wanted him to have ownership in, and so he really loved sort of like this cool, whatever, tape, I don't know, there's a special name for it. But he picked that, and then he liked these kind of like, we had these stick-on little rock jewel things. And so we did that too, just to make it look cool. And at that time it was kind of like Minecraft, or I don't know, one of these guys was a green guy. So we did that, okay? So I'm gonna get a little bit closer so that you can see it. So this one now, it was about eating dinner. And remember that green, yellow, and red timer I had? So I got that online somewhere, and all you have to do is put in how much time that they get for each one. And so for the green light, maybe they get 15 minutes, the yellow light is like an 8-minute, and then the red light is maybe you got 4 or 5 minutes left, okay? And so we set that for him and then hit it, and so then he would watch those lights. But he had to eat dinner in less than 35 minutes. Okay, that might not even work for your schedule. You might need to dial that down, or maybe you want to give them more time than that and dial it up, okay? And of course, if you have more time on the weekends, eliminate this. Let them just have their leisurely dinner sometimes too, because that's how real life works. Sometimes you get to have a leisurely dinner. Sometimes you just have popcorn on the couch. Whatever it is, no shame. Then he had to take a shower in less than 16 minutes, and then he had pajamas and ready to read for bed in 15, and then he could only call for Dada, his dad, 1 time during the night, because we had kind of a habit of calling for Dad 5 or 6 times a night, and then no one was sleeping and no one was happy at our house. So just call 1 time. Now, this one we had a little bit different. This one we had more experiential things again, so he could go to like the jump place, or he could ride the train. There's like a little train at the mall. He could go to Artsy Me, which is like where you painted pottery and things like that. He's really into art with a parent, or go bowling as a family. And then another one, you could go to the movies, or you could go to Chuck E. Cheese. And then we could play mini golf or putt-putt, whatever you call that, or horseback riding. So we had different things that we would have taken him to do anyway at some point, not all the time. We don't do those things all the time. We're not that cool of a family. But it was an incentive, right? We like to look forward to things, and he did too. So we did this again. Now you'll see, he didn't circle any of them. We didn't have to do any of them, and we skipped the final week because he had it down. So once they start to get the idea of this and the habit of it, it really becomes easier on everyone. And trust me, you're breathing a lot easier and feeling a lot more relaxed as a parent when we're down in these weeks where they even forget. And you know what? You forget and you think, just thankfully, we're on a new habit. Okay, so you can do these sorts of behavior charts for anything. Just make sure that they're helping you with it, that they take ownership of it, that we're cheerleading each other, that we're remembering that we also have to be positive with this. Even though it's changed for them, we have to change too, right? From our get going, or you only have 2 more minutes, or why don't you have your shoes on? Those types of things, we have to change those about ourselves too. We're asking them to change, we're going to change too, and we're going to make our family a more positive experience all over. Come join me on my YouTube channel for more parenting tips. If you have questions, put them in the comments. I will do whatever it takes. We got to share what works because we're all in this together. Take care and join me again.